Happy Monday, October 16th, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have an interesting weather pattern to talk about as we move through the next 7 to 10 days, including the tropics. We'll be talking about that later on in today's video. If you are new to the channel and have not yet subscribed, if you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics, this is the channel for you. So make sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you're new, and also everybody press that thumbs up button. It helps out to get all this information out to as many people as possible. Looking across the United States as of today, we do see some active weather across British Columbia there into Western Canada and the Pacific Northwest, in particular Washington State, Oregon, and Northwestern California could be seeing some precipitation later on today, while the rest of the country is pretty dry for the most part. In fact, looking at the cloud cover out there, this is the percentage of cloud cover. Wherever you see the blue here, that's where we're seeing some thicker clouds at times, but anywhere in the white down across the south central United States, it is very quiet. In fact, it's hard pressed to see much in the way of cloud cover if you live in the Four Corners region, the central and southern plains, even down here into parts of Dixie Alley. As of this morning, enjoying a nice sunrise out there. And temperatures this afternoon will be warming with fall-like temperatures across portions of the Great Lakes region, New England, and the upper Midwest into the 40s and 50s this afternoon. A little bit warmer across the southern plains, temperatures there into the 60s and 70s, but nice crisp fall weather this afternoon across much of the eastern United States. A little bit warmer out west here where we have a ridge across the Rockies. Temperatures in those lower elevations will be pressing up into the 70s and 80s here. As you go up in elevation, obviously the temperatures do cool, so we will be seeing more of those 40s and 50s as you go up across the Rockies in elevation. Then as we go into the middle of the week, this is on Wednesday, we'll start to see some return flow out of the south and southwest ahead of our next storm system. This will be making temperatures rise a little bit further into the 70s and 80s across the south central United States on Wednesday. Then as we go into Friday, we have another cold front dropping through the United States with the low pressure system. That will bring temperatures back down to the 50s across much of the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and New England, whereas we're still dealing with some warmer than normal and actually much above average temperatures across the southern plains, with 90s likely across Texas Hill Country into the Rio Grande Valley on Friday. In fact, those areas on Friday could be 10 to 20 degrees above normal down here into the Great Plains, and even the Pacific Northwest, there will be areas pushing 30 degrees above normal for this time of year by the time we get to Friday, October 20th. So a warmer spell across the western United States through the week. And it's all due in part to this high pressure system and this ridge across the Rockies here. We are seeing a storm system entering the picture across the Pacific Northwest today, and this will be bringing some rain showers to places like Seattle, Portland, and then down there into northwestern California this morning. Not very heavy rain, but just a steady light to moderate pockets of rain across portions of western Washington State, western Oregon, and northwest California this morning. That rainfall moves a little bit further inland as we go into this afternoon, but it will be spotty. There will be areas with some dry periods as well, but it's seeing some showers out there will be a possibility from time to time this afternoon across Washington State, Oregon, and Northern California. Then as we go into tonight, the rainfall moves up more into western Canada with some lingering showers moving into northern Idaho, far northwestern Montana as we go in towards tonight. Overall, rainfall totals won't be too significant, but there will be areas that do see some decent rains across Seattle down through Portland. Some areas could be seeing up and over an inch of rain as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours through your Tuesday. So something to keep an eye on there. Likely not talking about any flooding concerns for the most part outside of ponding of the water on the roadways and possibly those creeks, streams, and ditches out there as well. Other than that, not really talking about flooding. Then as we go into Tuesday tomorrow, we have the low pressure system moving across the northern Rockies. with a cold front extending to the south of that low pressure system through the portions of the northwestern United States. Then as we go into Wednesday, that system moves out and across the upper Midwest. That will be bringing some unsettled weather there. So let's preview that here. We can see on Tuesday that low pressure system across southern Saskatchewan. It is starving for moisture along that cold front, so we're likely not going to be seeing much in the way of any showers, but some spotty rain showers at times will be moving across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Montana as we go into your Tuesday and Tuesday afternoon. Then as we go into Wednesday, again, parched for moisture will be the storm system across the upper Midwest, but we will be seeing a cold front moving through with a spotty shower or two there across the upper Midwest by midweek. And then as we go into Thursday, that moves across portions of the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. A little bit more moisture on this day that could bring a couple of downpours to places like Chicago, Indianapolis, or Grand Rapids up here into Michigan. But even that won't amount to too much. And then as we go across to the east on Friday to end the week, that storm system will be bringing more gloomy conditions and some rain showers, possibly a few thunderstorms that will not be severe across the mid-Atlantic, parts of the Northeast and the Southeast as we go through that Friday time frame. And then behind that, we're going to be drying out across portions of the middle of the country, across the heartland and the western two-thirds of the country by the end of the week. Overall, through the week, through the Saturday, we're not going to be seeing much in the way of precipitation outside of maybe a half an inch here, a half an inch there, with areas that see some heavier downpours from the system. But more likely than not, this system will be more of a nuisance across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and the eastern United States this week. So just enough rainfall to dampen the ground as we go through the week. That is about all that we're seeing with this system. But now we look toward the long range because there is some interesting factors here that will be playing into our weather pattern. We do have a ridge that will be across the west, like we just mentioned. That's going to be sliding to the east ever so slightly as we go through next week. So this is a week from today, Monday, October 23rd, through the following weekend that takes us right up to close to Halloween time frame. And we're seeing some well above average temperatures favored for the south central United States. And a lot of this will be fueled by the ongoing drought. Remember, drier ground heats up faster than a wet ground does. So it's easier for these temperatures, especially into coastal and eastern Texas, where we have that extreme and exceptional drought to warm up, and then we'll start to see cooler temperatures than normal across the northwestern plains and into the Pacific Northwest entering in towards next week. And you can see that verifiable here on the temperature anomaly map. We're going to be across the Great Plains with those 10 to 20 degree above normal temperatures for this time of year, especially for Monday, October 23rd. Then by the middle of next week, we're easily seeing temperatures 20 to 25 degrees above normal across the middle of the country. And then we start to see some blues and purples show up here. Those are temperatures that are 10, 20, even 30 degrees below the average across southern Alberta into southwestern Saskatchewan, Montana, and much of the Pacific Northwest. And that does signify a storm system that will be moving into the picture by the end of next week as we have more warmer air to the east. That will set up a cold front moving across the country. And there we have it. We have the precipitation above normal as we go through next week, really centered across the Rockies and the Great Plains here, with drier conditions favoring the Northeast and the East Coast here from the Mid-Atlantic, the Delmarva region, down through the Carolinas, Georgia, and northern Florida, likely seeing drier conditions for the most part through next week. But we have to keep an eye on these storm systems. The deeper we get into fall, we have more wind shear in play with these systems to work with and a little bit less instability. But when you have some of these ingredients coming together, this could spawn some interesting weather toward the end of October, where you have a trough out across the west, a ridge out across the east, and eventually this trough is likely going to be progressive enough to push further east across the Great Plains and into the eastern United States towards the end of October. And we have to keep an eye on where this goes and how strong the system could get, because it's going to have likely some moisture return out ahead of it with some warmer temperatures for one, but for two, we're going to have dew points moving up probably into the 60s, and that is anomalously high for this time of year. And not only could this be moving up into the mid-Missouri Valley, but even into the Midwestern regions as we go towards late October. So here's just a general weather pattern setup for you from that Wednesday, October 25th through the Friday, October 27th time frame, possibly even a little bit further beyond that and towards the following weekend. But in general, we could be seeing a low pressure system up across the north central Great Plains vicinity. We have a warm front attached to that, and just to the south of the warm front, we always know we have to keep an eye on the warm and unstable air, but then we have a cold front that's going to be probably attached to it as well. That'll be bringing in the cool and stable air, and where we have that battle zone meeting up into the middle of the country, likely the Great Plains, that's where we could run into some issues with some heavier rains, some severe weather, and possibly even a snow side to this system. We're getting deep enough into fall that we have to keep an eye on some snowfall up across the Rockies and even the far northwestern plains with some of these cooler air masses that move in behind it, and see how much moisture we can put into that cool air mass that could lead to some snowfall. So we'll keep an eye on that. Turning to the tropics, we are seeing a 70% chance of development of a system that is in the main development region well to the east of the Leeward Islands, but we are keeping an eye on it. It's a little bit less organized than it was just 24 to 48 hours ago here in the North Tropical Atlantic. You do see today we are lowering the pressures out here to the east of the Leeward Islands. This is well away from the islands at this point, so we're not too concerned about it in the short term. But as we move toward Wednesday, we could be seeing a tropical depression, maybe a low-end tropical storm trying to develop here, again, just to the east of the Leeward Islands. This won't approach the islands until we get toward the end of this week, likely until we get to that Friday, Saturday time frame, and by then we could be talking about at least a tropical depression, possibly a tropical storm out of this activity as it moves into the Leeward Islands, and we'll also be watching you up there into Puerto Rico as well. So we'll keep an eye on this toward late week, and this system does have some fuel to work with. Sea surface temperature anomalies are still running well above average for this time of year, so we are going to continue to monitor that as the system presses to the west towards our friends here into the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico. Hopefully it misses everybody out here altogether. We've been very lucky this tropical weather season across the Caribbean, and hopefully that streak continues. We'll keep an eye on this for you and for our friends down there in the Caribbean as we move through this week. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, a like down below. Share this video with friends and family and on social media, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. I do appreciate that as well. It certainly helps to get the word out with all this weather information, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their Monday out there.